years we shared sort of equates to 10 or 12 years in a normal life. Because in a normal relationship, you know, you go to work, you come back, you meet for a few hours, you have dinner, you go to sleep, the next day you're both off doing your thing. And with Elvis, it was so intense, it was so 24/7, it was, you know, I'm going to the dentist, I want you to go with me. I'm going to the doctor, I want you to go with me. You know, so there was such togetherness that it really did equate to about 10 years, it felt like. You know, Elvis, I asked him one time when we were sitting and having a philosophical talk, what do you think is your worst flaw? And he thought for a minute and he said, well, I'm probably only going to say this once, but I think I'm a little bit self-destructive. And that stuck with me, you know, in the later years, because he recognized it, but he had already started the downward spiral and I don't think he could stop it. He felt that he couldn't, and you have to remember in those days there was not Betty Ford, there were no rehab centers that there are today. We had the Dr. Knott and a Dr. Fink. One time I woke up and you know, once I realized that Elvis took sleeping medication and sometimes some other things that maybe interacted with that, I was like having a newborn baby. I wouldn't sleep. I wanted to know he was okay. So I would sit and watch him until he fell asleep, and then I would get up all through the night and had a pattern of wakefulness, really, to check on his breathing and make sure he was okay, because sometimes he wasn't.
It was so tough for you.
It was exhausting, I have to admit. I was a young girl, but it was still exhausting when you're not sleeping. And also just emotionally exhausting, because this is the person that I loved more than my own life, and watching him slowly self-destruct, you know, and not being able to do anything about it. I didn't have the facilities, I didn't have the education, I'd never done drugs, I'd never even drank alcohol, I never smoked a cigarette. I was like, I didn't know how to deal with this, you know, except to be there and to try to keep him healthy. And so there was this one morning that, you know, he wasn't breathing properly, and I had to call an ambulance, and the ambulance came and got him. And there were several times, you know, like that, where it was really frightening. And I just, you know, after a while I thought, you know, I do want to get married, I do want to have children, I want to be a mom, and this is not the kind of life I want to bring a child into. This is not, I finally just thought, you know, I can't spend my life trying to keep him alive. That shouldn't be anyone's lot in life. And you know, he had begun to see other girls. When I wasn't with him, I knew that he would be with someone else. And you know, you try to reconcile it in your mind and in your heart. I get it, you know, he's so sequestered from other people. I understand if he wants to be around someone new and talk to them. And I knew it wasn't always about having sex with someone else. It was about reading those books and connecting and, you know, getting a little taste of the outside world and what was going on. So logically, I tried to reconcile it in my mind, but emotionally, it's hard. When you love someone, you don't want to think of them with another woman. So it kind of all came to, you know, a point in my life where I just thought, I don't think this is the life that I want to sign on for. And we were in San Francisco. He had played the Cow Palace, and he was playing the Cow Palace again the next night. And he said to me, honey, I was thinking maybe you'd want to go back to Memphis and spend a little time with your family. So I brought the Jetstar in, I brought the plane in to take you back. Logically, I knew he's not going to bring his private plane in at that expense just to fly me back to Memphis. He's brought someone else in to go to the show. And that's exactly what had happened. But I said, no, I don't mind flying commercially. I like to fly commercially. I can be around, you know, some other people. He said, no, I brought the plane in just for you. And I said, are you sure you didn't bring another girl in? Because there had been rumors that he had started dating a girl in Memphis a little behind my back. And I said, are you sure you didn't bring someone else in? And he said, honey, I would never. He was so darn charming. And I'll never forget standing there with him in the hotel room. And he said, look at me. I love you. I don't love anybody else. You're my little Ariadne Pennington. You're the one that I love. You're my heart, and I don't care whatever you read. Then he's like starting to think, she's going to hear about this, isn't she? So honey, I want you to know, no matter what you hear, no matter what you read, no matter what anybody tells you, I don't love anybody else. I love you. I'm always going to love you. And I said, okay, I love you too, knowing that he was lying to me. He was not telling the truth. I know he was telling the truth about loving me, and probably at that point in time, I was the only one he loved. But, you know, he had a tremendous capacity to love, and I'm sure he fell in love with the next girl like he had been in love with me. So I left him in San Francisco, not of my own will, but because he had brought the plane in. So I left, and that's it. You know, it's a song. I left my heart in San Francisco, but it happens to be the last time I ever saw him alive. And I did speak to him on the phone a few times after that, and I just, because I had this haunting feeling, you know, I just thought, you know, I don't know if anybody's going to take care of him the way I did. I don't know if anybody's going to be attuned to his needs. When you're with someone for that many years and that closely living with them, I felt very attuned to his habits and his needs, and I thought, nobody else is going to know that. So I remember calling Graceland, pardon me, the Friday night before he died on a Tuesday. And Friday night I called Graceland, and Charlie Hodge answered. And I said, Charlie, hey, it's me. And he said, hey, Linda, how you doing? I said, good. And Elvis and I had been talking on the phone. And I said, can you do me a favor? Is Elvis up? And he said, no, honey, he's sleeping. Will you do me a favor? Will you just go upstairs and peek in the door and make sure that he's breathing okay? And Charlie was a little impatient with me. He said, he's fine, honey. He's all right. He's asleep. I said, just, you know, humor me and please go up there and just check on his breathing. So whether he did or not, he pretended to put me on hold and came back to the phone. He said, he's fine, he's okay. And I said, his breathing is good? Yeah, he's fine, he's doing just fine. I said, okay, well just tell him that I called and I love him and I was just checking on him. He said, I'll let him know, that'll make him happy. And I didn't speak to him again. And then Tuesday, I got the call from Lisa Marie. She said, you know, screaming on the phone, my daddy's dead, my daddy's dead.
Where were you when you heard that news?
I was at my apartment in Los Angeles, and Elvis had actually come and spent some time with me there in the past. And it was still, the memory is so surreal because Lisa Marie would call me from time to time. She was only 9 years old, but we really shared a connection as well. I love little kids, so I adored her. I just thought she was, you know, the sweetest little thing and funny. So she would call me from time to time and just say, hey, it's Lisa, I'm playing, I'm in the golf cart, and blah, blah, blah. You know, and she would just be really excited and letting me know what she was doing. And this time, you know, her voice had that same intensity. She said, Linda. I said, hey, honey. She said, it's Lisa. I said, I know who you are, you little goober nickel. And she said, my daddy's dead, my daddy's dead. And I just, it was stunning to me. I just, no, he's not. She said, yes, he is. They just told me my daddy's dead. And I said, no, honey, I'm sure he's not. I'm sure he just, maybe, are you sure he's just not sick? Remember the time I had to call and take him to the hospital because his breathing wasn't right? Remember, maybe he's a little bit sick. No, he's dead. They told me he's dead. Nobody knows, but they told me he's dead. And she said he's smothered in the carpet. And I just threw the phone across the room. And I was just saying, no, because when she said that, I thought, that's it, he's gone. And I have chill bumps even thinking about it now. And I threw the phone across the room because I couldn't even bear to think it. And then, you know, my reasoning came back to me, and I thought, there's this little 9-year-old girl who had the presence of mind to pick up the phone and call me. So I reached for the phone and had to say what I could say to Lisa to comfort her, you know. But, I mean, to this day, I still get emotional thinking about it, you know. It was a terrible time. And he, in fact, had passed away. And my brother had gone to get Lisa to bring her back to LA because Elvis was going on tour. And my brother, Sam, picked up the phone and said, Linda, you need to come back to Memphis. I said, Sam, just tell me he's not dead, right? He's in the hospital, he's not. And he said, you need to come back home. He's gone. It was just like the world stood still. I mean, how many of you remember that day and where you were? It's like I think those of us who loved him, everybody remembers that day. They remember when President Kennedy was shot. They remember those moments in history when there was a tremendous loss to all of us, So my brother said, you gotta come back. And so I, made my way back to Memphis, and life was never the same. I remember, in fact, watching TV, watching the news, and of course it was all over the news and all over every newspaper, and the news account would start off, today Elvis Presley died at his Graceland mansion in Memphis, Tennessee, and they would, talk about that, and then they would go on to something else that had happened in the world, and I would go, no, there is nothing else. That's all there is. Elvis died. I couldn't imagine that anything else was newsworthy. And that's how I responded in my grief. It's just like, there's nothing else. That's all there is. Elvis is gone.
The world changed. The world changed that day. Not
my world changed, for sure.
Yeah, we